nature. And if you can get idle hands or hands that were otherwise spent fighting you all to become a part of the process at a local level, I'm sure that's something they can pursue. In terms of large scale, lots of money being used to support reconciliation efforts in a very organized nationwide effort, as we saw in Iraq with the Sons of Iraq. That's something that obviously has to be pursued at the government level, not at the brigade commander level or below.
Big benefit of SERP is it gives people at the brigade level.
It gives the ability of commanders at a variety of ranks the ability and the discretion to use funds as they see fit. Most of it is for development purposes and putting people to work and improving the lot of people in their towns. But this new authority gives us the wherewithal to use SERP dollars if the government wishes to pursue a large-scale reconciliation effort. But we're not going to independently pursue that.
The Defense Department wishes to pursue?
Yeah, that's the authority we asked for.
Okay.
No. Is that what we wish to pursue? No, it's not. It's not for us to wish or decide.
You don't hope to engage the Afghan
At
government?
a certain point, Justin, we've been very clear about this for a long time. At a certain point, when the momentum shifts, it makes sense to pursue reconciliation and reintegration and reconciliation. But I don't think you'd find many Taliban willing, in a hurry to pursue that right now. They have the impression, at least, that they're doing quite well. So why would they want to? Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to bargain from a position of strength? The government of Afghanistan will want to pursue this from a position of strength, and hopefully, the additional forces that have gone into country will be able to turn the tide very quickly, and we'll be in a better position to pursue those things. Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up to one of the other questions about Iraq having been the focus for a number of years, Afghanistan not. For many years, this department had a strategy that it committed itself to, and that was to win two wars nearly simultaneously. Obviously, it's gone through some iterations since then, but do you think it's safe to say, given recent history, that that's not possible? In other words, the department does not have enough resources to prevail?
Well, listen, there's a couple. Brian, there's a couple things you're getting. I mean, first of all, you're getting at the heart of what is part of the QDR discussion that's ongoing right now. But listen, we obviously can go to extraordinary lengths to fight and win multiple wars. We have, nearly 2.5 million men under arms. So we have the ability, if we want to stretch the force and use the force in that way, to go about fighting two wars in a very aggressive way. Obviously, after fighting many, many years in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and after having to extend deployments for our forces in Afghanistan, or in Iraq rather, to 15 months with 12 months dwell time, and having multiple repeated and lengthy tours in those theaters, the Secretary and the Chief of Staff of the Army have made a decision that they need to provide more rest to the forces. And so we are trying to get a better balance between bog time and dwell time. And so now no one is deploying for 15-month tours. We're doing 12-month tours, and I think it's made a big difference for our troops and for their families. And hopefully the ratio of deployment time versus dwell time will improve, or dwell time to deployment time will improve even more, so that people are spending 18 months at home for every month deployed, 2 years at home, ultimately, hopefully 3 years at home, which is what is the norm for every year deployed. But that's what we're working towards. But obviously we have the ability to go to extreme measures if needed. To take care of such things. Yeah, Laura.
Kind of a follow-up. In light of the Sunday bombings in Baghdad, has there been any discussion about delaying the drawdown of troops in Iraq at this point, or
No.
further beefing up security than originally anticipated in the run-up to the elections?
No, I mean, the greater impact potentially on the drawdown plan would be when the election takes place, and whether or not the Council of Representatives can pass an election law, and we can hold an election in late January as planned. The drawdown plan is predicated on that more than anything else. But But with regards to these, the most recent, just horrific and deplorable attacks, it has not caused anybody to reevaluate or reassess or reconsider the drawdown plan, nor has it prompted the Iraqis, for that matter, to ask for our forces to come back into Baghdad to assist in the aftermath of this attack. I think we sent very limited numbers of highly specialized teams, mostly forensics experts, to help with protecting evidence in the wake of the bombings. But we did not, units were not called back in to sort of help secure the city. And that's encouraging that the Iraqi security forces were confident enough and capable enough to deal with this tragedy on their own.
Well, the Kurds today boycotted a procedure in Parliament that is believed to further delay the elections, that it'll be well past the 16th. So are you saying that if the elections are not held on the 16th, that the drawdown schedule will be reevaluated?
I don't, was the date the 16th? I thought it was the 30th. Anyway.
No, it's January
The 16th. Anyway, I think the bottom line is, it is very. I think the schedule is predicated on the elections taking place in January, as I think is mandated by law. I think that's what I'm thinking of. That the Constitution mandates the elections have to take place by the end of January. So the plan is contingent upon that. Obviously, we'll make judgments and assessments based upon how far it's delayed and whether or not we need to retain this certain force level for longer. But the idea is we want a certain force level to provide security leading up to the elections, clearly on the election day, or to assist the Iraqis in doing so, and also to provide a certain level of security in the wake of the elections during a transfer of power that would take place in the weeks following. That's why we are hanging on to as large a force as we are in Iraq.
For 2 months after the elections, correct?
I'd have to look at the precise drawdown, but I think it's by March it starts to drop off pretty quickly.
Right.
Okay, let's take one or two more. We're done. Justin, yep.
Quick thing, were you able to get a date as to when the McChrystal troop request formally went through the chain of command?
I did not. And I'm not so sure. I think, listen, bottom line is, and I'm surprised you all haven't tried to pursue it more, and I appreciate the fact you haven't, but I think things are right now at a certain point where it is probably best for me not to discuss these matters in any substantive way while we're at the end stages of what is this sort of close hold, pre-decisional, confidential process over at the White House. So I'm just not going to get into a lot of these matters, given how close we are to the end here.
Does it make sense for the decision to be announced before the runoff election on the 7th, though? Is there talk about delaying until after the election?
I'm not, obviously I'm not the one who would speak to when this would be announced or wouldn't be announced, so I'd urge you to talk to folks over there. My understanding is I think they've been very forthright about their desire to wait for the election to take place on the 7th. But you should really probably talk to them about when precisely they hope for the president to have made a decision and be able to roll it out. And obviously there's some international travel involved as well in this month for the president and his team, so that factors into things as well.
By the way, Jeff?
I don't. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your week.